welcome to Exploring Plays with Delaney O'Neill. Today's play is Men on Boats by Jacqueline Bacchus. The play, written in 2015, is about the 1800s expedition into the Grand Canyon. The cast of this play is meant to consist of only minorities, including women, people of color, non-binary folks, any minority you can think of. Some of the difficulties in producing this work include that it is a very abstract piece. You have to create elements such as water on stage, which is a challenge. You also have to focus on forcing a perspective on the audience, and also making sure that you cast your characters true to what the author intended. I interviewed a diverse sampling of people about this play, and this is what they had to say.
What's up? Alright, hit me with them.
I think it's highly inaccurate because men are superior and women need to be in the kitchen.
Oh, that's fascinating.
No kitchen on a boat, is there?
That's a good point. Thank you.
I mean, it's like whatever, but you know, I don't understand why you get a woman to do a man's job, you know? Like, I mean, how are you gonna find a woman to be able to play like a man like he's supposed to be, you know? I mean, I know, like, I'm for, like, women and whatever, like, that's cool, like, you know, switching it up. I mean, you gotta be provocative or whatever. But, I mean, yeah. And, I mean, like, I know women because I I get a lot of them, so.
What do I think of women playing men? 2 words, feminist agenda. I mean, men aren't the enemy.
I couldn't tell you because I've never read it. I have no interest in reading it, but.
The play's actually dope. Bunch of boys on a boat. Sounds like me and my buddies down at Cherry Grove. I think it represents minorities very well. I'm not a racist, no matter what Twitter says.
I don't know what half of that means. All I know is it should just be men on there. They should all
All right. Thank you.
What do I think this play adds to society? That is a trick question, and you're trying to make men look bad. Not falling for it.
Promote the liberal movement, man. Yeah.
It doesn't.
The protagonist of this play is named Powell, and the antagonist of this play is William Dunn.
All right. That's where everybody has it wrong, okay? I am the protagonist of Men on Boats. Everybody, including the writer, got it wrong because in real life, I saved the whole crew's life multiple times. But does no one remember that? No. Powell, because he's a one-armed cripple, all of a sudden is like saints, and everybody loves him. No. He is the antagonist of the show, and I am the protagonist. I'm taking over now. I'm taking this. My name's William Dunn. I'm a hunter, a trapper, an innovator. I was aboard the Emma Dean.
Hi, I'm John Colton Sumner, and I'm here under the direction of my good buddy, John Wesley Powell. And I'm here with this team of fine, great men to ride some hard waters and discover something new. We don't really know where we are. We don't really know where we're going, but the year is 1869. Am I scared? Not really. But I'm ready for adventure. And that's the mission, my friend. Adventure. Always adventure.
Hi, my name is Seneca Howland, and I was aboard the No Name, traveling on the Colorado River, navigating the Grand Canyon, or at least what was going to be the Grand Canyon. Well, our mission was always to figure out the unexplored areas of our country. And that was the focus. The focus was on the Grand Canyon, of course, but that was always our duty. Our duty was to make a map of all the lands that we found and all the canyons and the rocks and name them, make them discovered by us Americans, and then write them down to make a map and so the world can see what America was made. The expedition was treacherous the whole time. We kept going, and you never know what was going to happen when you turn the corner. There was going to be a rapids, a waterfall, smooth sailing. It was getting to us after months. After a few months of it, we were all definitely feeling it. Just alone, away from society, with the same people forever. Like Goodman. Oh man, Goodman. You know, big thing that happened to us though, we capsized our boat. The No Name got capsized and we lost it. There's too many. It was too short of a thing we should have portaged, but they didn't listen, and we lost our boat that way. Luckily we could get some of the rations out of it, but it was a tough time. Of course, the other boats have capsized and fallen apart throughout this whole thing, and supplies, food supplies was getting short, real quick, and it was just a constant tension between all of us and trying to make it through alive.
Main conflict of Men on Boats is obviously having to travel down the Grand Canyon with limited resources and no one there to help us. Obviously tensions run high and people get a little angry with each other, but there is a strong brotherhood bond throughout. I would say a sub-conflict that maybe isn't necessarily a main conflict is a power struggle between myself and Powell. We love each other, but I think I could do a better job than he can of leading the expedition.
Started this expedition in May of 1869, never forget it. And we went until around August. It was months, many months. Yeah.
You want to know what happens on this expedition? Well, I guess the better question would be what hasn't happened. From losing all our rations and food and several tips, several close calls. There have also been some encounters with some snakes. There have been lots of fights between the men. You know, when things get hard, tensions run high, and some people try to take the lead, and some people fight back for that lead. And I don't know. I'd say maybe things started to really change whenever we lost the Emma Dean. That's when it changed for me. I think one of the points where we started to see some things falling was when we had to part ways with Dunn and some of the others. We knew that the end was coming soon. We didn't know what that end looked like, but it takes a village to do what we're doing. And we didn't have our whole village, so talking about things falling to an end, I'd say that's what did it.
During the expedition, many things happened. We lost our food, we lost 2 ships, we lost a crew member. He ended up having to leave halfway through the trip, and so many things happened. When things came to a head between myself and Powell, we ended up leaving, me and 2 of the other men. And when we left, we were attacked by Indians and murdered, and all of our things were taken, and our belongings and remains were never found again. However, the rest of the crew, thankfully, survived the last big waterfall and made it to the end of the trip.
If you gotta make a fall in action, I would definitely agree and say that it was when we left. And the reason why we left was for all the reasons I just mentioned before. It was time to go. We couldn't risk staying on that river any longer, you know, because our lives were in danger. Ourselves were in danger. We had no more food, just mealy apples by the end of it. Our boats were ripped up and ready to go. There was just no way we could make it. We didn't know how much longer we had on that river and in that canyon. We didn't know. We had to go, you know. Ooh, pardon me. Yeah, we had to go.
It's me!
I certainly agree. Dunn was the protagonist. In the real life expedition, of course. Can't talk about that play. But he was always looking out for the people. He cared about the people. He made sure we were always safe. Powell, his first thing was the mission. He had a duty to his friend, the president. He always mentioned that, and he made sure that we kept to it. And of course, that was his job. I can't blame the man. I respect him. I respect his decisions. I respect everything about him. But at the end of the day, Dunn had our backs and made sure that we were safe, and was also agreeing that this was not the time. And though they always butt heads, I always trusted Dunn. Dunn knew what he was doing, you know? So...
Oh, that's rich. Dunn would be the one to say that he's the hero of the expedition. That's just the man's personality, but he don't mean anything by it. He's a good man in a storm. He knows what he's doing. He's resourceful. I trained him how to avoid surprises with the Indians, and a lot of people don't know I stuck my neck out for Dunn. I invited him on this expedition. I told Powell he would have been an asset. And our grandfathers were in the militia together. That's how far we go back. It's a small world. But no one measures up to John Wesley. Powell's our leader, and he was meant to be.
You know, I think for the most part, the play is pretty accurate to what we went through. The only thing that I have a qualm with, it's just a little tiny problem, little bitty tiny problem with is my portrayal and Powell's portrayal. They were reversed. I'm not mean. Powell, on the other hand, sometimes he had an edge, a real edge. So that's my only tiny little problem, is that I've been made out to be this villain that I am not.
I certainly agree. Dunn was the protagonist. In the real life expedition, of course. Can't talk about that play. But he was always looking out for the people. He cared about the people. He made sure we were always safe. Powell, his first thing was the mission. He had a duty to his friend, the president. He always mentioned that, and he made sure that we kept to it. And of course, that was his job. I can't blame the man. I respect him. I respect his decisions. I respect everything about him. But at the end of the day, Dunn had our backs and made sure that we were safe, and was also agreeing that this was not the time. And though they always butt heads, I always trusted Dunn. Dunn knew what he was doing, you know? So...
How do I feel about my portrayal or the play Men on Boats? Quite frankly, I'm a little bit insulted. You know, I mean, you'd think there'd be like a better title. Men on Boats. That really just oversimplifies it, doesn't it? I mean, if you think about the shit that we have gone through, I don't know, maybe give it a different title and I'd feel a little differently. But I mean, I worked my ass off. I think I speak for everybody. But some near-death experiences, maybe we deserve a little bit more credit than just men on boats. But that's just me.
And we are back with your host, Delaney O'Neill.
This has been Exploring Plays with Delaney O'Neill. I'm Delaney O'Neill. Thank you for tuning in.